Greetings all, this is the second video in Just Start, so I'm just starting. Again, no script, I don't know the tech, I don't have anybody to interact with, at least not yet, even though I do seem to do better in situations like that. But in this video, I'd like to cover what is truth. What is truth? You hear truth all the time, but we and others often mean different things when we use that same word, because words mean things. And if we don't know what things the word means, we start talking about words and we stop talking about things, and then we wonder why things get escalated and out of control. Proverbs 15:1 reveals that a gentle answer turns away wrath. Now that's not all the time, it's a proverb. Proverb means probablys, so it generally goes that way. And in the martial arts world, of which I was a part for decades, the more equipped one is, and that you know you are to defend yourself, the more calm you're able to be in opposition and those kinds of things. And if we're able to remain calm, it helps others to remain calm. Now, again, this doesn't work all the time because not everyone is reasonable. The reasonable ones are our audience. Sometimes we're speaking with someone who's reasonable. Sometimes we're not. But there are reasonable ones around listening, or if on video, they'll tune in later, and we can help them to think well, to speak well, and then be able to have better conversations and reach those who are reasonable. Well, today, what is truth? What is truth? Again, you hear it all the time. There are three basic main theories of truth. One is the coherence theory. One is the correspondence theory. I'm going to reverse those. The correspondence theory, the coherence theory, and the pragmatic theory. What do I mean by that? The first one is typically what you might mean when you say this is true, this is factual, this corresponds to reality. That's why it's called the correspondence theory. It's that truth is that which corresponds to reality, whether we like it or not, whether we know it or not, whether we understand it or not, whether we want to accept it or not. It just is. An apple is an apple. You can say it's a pear, you can say it's all kinds of stuff, but it's an apple. It just is. You can say this happened on this day. According to these statistics, these are the numbers. That's what it is. Biology says thus. Therefore, it is true. You don't have to like it. It just is what it is. Back to the first rule of logic. A thing is what it is. So truth, propositional, all kinds of different 2 plus 2 is 4, all kinds of different truth claims is truth is that which corresponds to reality. So if that's what you mean, then you can throw that in the conversation. If you're not sure if that's what the other person means, you can ask them. It's like when I'm talking about truth, I mean truth is that which corresponds to reality, whether we know it or like it or understand it or not. Is that what you mean? They can either say yes or they can say no. And then you say, what do you mean? That way, at least common terms. Common terms. Words mean things. And ideas have consequences. What thing do you mean? So we're talking about things and not words. The correspondence theory. So like, if a human fetus, human embryo, human in the womb is human, that means it's nothing else. It's human. It's not of another species. It's human. And so that's true, whether you like it or not. Well, shouldn't a woman be able to do with her own body what she wants? Well, maybe. But you're assuming that inside, which is inside her, moving and growing and developing with its own DNA code and so on, is part of her body. Is that true? No, something in one's body does not necessarily mean it's part of one's body. But again, that's a nuance and you can get down to that. But what's true? Is it a human? Is it alive? If those things are true, then it's a human life. That's true. And then there's different implications from that. But when people say, well, that's not true. That's not a child. Okay, what is it? What is it then? Now, they may get into the coherence theory, meaning truth is that which coheres within a certain system of thought. So if there's a certain system of thought that brings to the table, based on whatever, doing that is not always wrong. We work with the best of the stuff that we have at the time. If they're saying that, okay, no, that's part of the woman's body, therefore it's not true that what's in the womb is a different body. If they say gender is fluid, for example, then that means it's not true to say somebody is a male, is a male, is a male, is a female, is a female, is a female. They would say that's not true. What they mean, though, I think, is that's not coherent within their system. So what you're saying is not true in their system. Now, they can debate and say, no, it's absolutely true, corresponding with reality. Well, at least we know what we're talking about. So that's one of the reasons worldview is so important. And in your system, you're going to say things that aren't true or don't make sense. Sometimes. We all do that. But if we're willing to learn, we can get there. Okay, the last thing, pragmatic. The pragmatic theory of truth. Truth is that what works. If it works, it's true. Communism. Okay, you might hear this phrase, the ends justifies the means, meaning the goal, the result justifies whatever got there, no matter how wicked, no matter how evil, no matter how righteous, no matter how honorable. The ends, the result, that justifies everything to get there. Which, okay, that may sound good at first, but then you apply that around, you can't really live that way. Here's an example. Okay, let's say it's true that we should do whatever we can to abolish poverty. We should do whatever we can to abolish poverty. If that's objectively true, meaning it's that which corresponds with reality, that phrase in there, whatever we can, would include, let's just wipe out it. Let's figure out where the line of poverty is and everybody below that level in poverty. Let's just wipe them all out. If we wipe them all out, no more poverty. And that's a good thing, right? If that's a good thing, that should be perfectly justifiable. And it would be in a system that says truth is what works. But now if you're a reasonable person, I would offer a reasonable person wouldn't go there because it doesn't make sense. But it's whatever works. There are lies that are useful. If somebody wants to seduce somebody else, telling them lies will get to the goal. That doesn't make it objectively true with corresponds with reality, but they would say, well, this is how it's done. How do you know? Because it works. That must be true. So when people say true, it's either that which corresponds to reality. Is that what you mean? Objectively true outside of us, whether we ever know it or learn it or like it or anything? Is that what you mean? Or do you mean it's not true, meaning it doesn't make sense, it's not coherent in my system, or you don't think it's coherent in my system? Is that what you mean? So you might want to use the word coherent or make sense. That might be better. And then on the third one, the pragmatic, are you saying, when you say true, do you mean what works or what's effective? And if you just introduce these terms, it might help you think better. It might help them think better. And then you can have better discussions on the thing. And again, there are real life implications of that. What is true? When Christians talk about Christianity is true, they don't mean primarily that it works. Of course, works for what? Works for a comfy, easy life, a smooth flight? No, look through history. Look through the scriptures. Look through church history. That's not how it works. Doing things rightly and well and in a righteous way or whatever does not mean things go smooth. We're in the middle of this assassination for a guy who just wanted to have a conversation and would listen to people and would honor human dignity. And that didn't go well. Jesus embodied all of this. He is truth. He spoke truth. Everything he did was loving, and they murdered him. So it's not always going to go well. So it doesn't work if that's what people mean by work. Might ask them. It's coherent. Yes, Christianity is coherent. There are things that we may not understand at first because we're separated in time and culture and language and customs and all that kind of thing. But as we dig in, we realize, oh, I guess that does make sense. And then, but primarily, those who say Christianity is true, they mean it's that which coheres or corresponds with reality. Jesus of Nazareth did live. He did teach. He was crucified. He was witnessed to come from the dead by several people, 500 even at one time. And we have ancient documents of all of this, non-Christian documentation of his presence and of his teachings, of whatever. We have these kinds of things. So that's what corresponds with reality. And God being what God is like, as represented in the scriptures. So and so on, we could go on about this. But what Christianity says when Christianity is true is that it's that which corresponds with reality. We all have objectively, really, done that which we know is wrong on purpose repeatedly. And there is a consequence for that. And Christianity says the consequence of rebelling against God that way, there's going to be hell to pay for that. But Jesus didn't want that to happen to anybody, so he took it on himself and was murdered for all that we did, doing nothing wrong himself. And he rose from the dead 3 days later, again witnessed, and taught for 40 more days before he ascended to the Father. We have this belief in all of that that's coherent, and we believe corresponds to reality. And actually it would whether we believe it or not. It doesn't base on our beliefs. Oh, I don't believe in trucks, for example. Oh, okay, then go play in the street and don't believe in trucks to see how that goes for you. What is actually objectively true doesn't depend on our belief for it. So anyway, just an little introduction. We can go down the rabbit hole with this, but I'm already at 9 minutes here, and I want to keep these short. And I guess that's it. We'll talk to it. Again, if you have a question or a topic you'd like for me to cover, feel free to leave it in the comments. And I just found out subscribing is a thing, so feel free to do that. And hopefully see you on the next one.